Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a good Monday yesterday and a joyous Washington's birthday almost holiday. We had our Washington's birthday tree up. Early in the morning, we exchanged gifts, our Washington birthday gifts. Then we had the family over for a big Washington's birthday dinner. Afterwards, we sang Washington's birthday carols. It was lovely. Anyway, we are now discussing the small cards of the tarot in general and the magical aspects and facets of the small cards in particular, and in particular, the magical and angelic and demonic spirits resident in everybody's deck of tarot cards, small cards. So today we're starting with the wands, and it's a section of the book that is formatted like this. Okay, of course we're reading from Tarot of Ceremonial Magick, and the small card section is formatted like this. We've got the nice halftone of the card on the left-hand side of the page with some basic information, including the general divinatory meanings of the card and the color king and queen scale colors assigned to it. Oh, actually, excuse me. For the wands, we use the king scale of colors. Okay, then we've got the astrological decan that the card represents, and in this case, the Two of Wands. It's 0 degrees to 10 degrees Aries in the approximate days of the year. And planetary assignment is Mars in Aries. And that would be Hokmah, which is number 2 on the Tree of Life in the Kabbalistic world of Atzilith. If you can see that. Mars in Aries, Hokmah in Atzilith. Then on the right page, you'll see it says Angels of the Shemhamferish, and it gives a phonetic spelling of the two angels of the Shemhamferish, each the first representing the first 5 degrees of Aries, the second 5 degrees of Aries, their names, and a little thing that, a couple words of description. See, Vihuel or Uhiel means great and lofty. We'll explain how he got that attribute in a second here. And we've got Daniel, and Daniel's attributes are merciful judge. Then we've got two spirits of the Goetia, number 1, Buer, and number 37, Phoenix. And then I've got the complete description as directly from the Lesser Key of Solomon, lesser description of that spirit. Then we talk about the Enochian attributions, because each one of the small cards has an Enochian square, and that square is found on the Grand Cross section of all 4 elemental tablets, all in different positions. And so I give whatever letter it is on the air tablet, the earth tablet, water tablet, the earth tablet, or the fire tablet, plus the temple opening used to access that area, and the Enochian call itself, which you would use to intone it. That being said, we won't have to do that again, will we? That being said, let's look at the Two of Wands. Show a nice little. Now remember, Ace of Wands is not a small card. It's a master card. All the other cards, including the court cards of the suit, live inside their ace. The small cards are technically the 2s through 10s of their suit. Now, the Ace of Wands isn't really fire itself. It's the tendency toward fire. It's the spirit, literally, the spirit behind what would be fire and what will be fire when we get to the 2s. So the 2 of Wands, the Ace of Wands is the root of fire, but now we're getting into fire with the 2 of Wands, and that's why I've got the 2 hands rubbing 2 sticks together to create fire. The title is Dominion. It's Mars and Aries. We'll talk all about that in a second. 2 of Wands, Dominion. 0 degrees to 10 degrees Aries, March 21st to March 30th. Mars in Aries, that would be Hokmah on the Tree of Life, but it's the Tree of Life of the Kabbalistic world, the highest Kabbalistic world at Zilith. Color is pure soft blue. That is the king scale of color. And you can see that that color dominates this card. General divinatory meaning: first manifestation of fire. Ideal will. Independent and creative. Control over circumstances. Now, there's 2 angels of the Shemhamferish. Their names are right there. It is Vehuel or Uhiel. V's are treated as U's, of course. And Danael. Vehuel is the first 5 degrees of Aries. Danael is the second 5 degrees of the first decan of Aries. 5 degrees of the first decan of Aries, second 5 degrees of the first decan of Aries. Now, we talked about where we got those names, okay? We got those names from we talked already about this, the 3 verses of Exodus that each have 72 letters of that make up their verses. And the first decan of Aries, here, let's just remember this chart. Okay, it starts at 0 degrees, excuse me, it starts at 0 degrees Leo, which is the Chaldean astrological start of the year, and goes all the way Aries, Taurus, Virgo, etc. There we go. Aries, Taurus. Yeah, you know what I mean. Gemini, Cancer, Virgo, etc. Cancer, you know. Okay. So by the time we get to Aries, right here, here are the, well, I'll do it in black and white. See where I've circled them? That's where we'll find Vuhiel and Danael. And that's how we got their names. Now, there are approximately 72 places in the Hebrew Bible, primarily in Psalms, that mention the word Yod-He-Vav-He, mention the name of God, Yod-He-Vav-He, or Tetragrammaton. Now, the Kabbalists that worked out this Angels of the Shemhamphorash did this thing. They had a thing about 72, and they saw these 72 3 consecutive verses of Exodus. I mean, they're dramatic verses of Exodus. There's when Moses lays out his hands and behold the hand of God. It's most dramatic, okay? And when you read it in Hebrew, there's 72 letters in that verse, 72 letters in that verse, and 72 letters in that verse. And then they make 3-letter names of God, 72 3-letter names of God. And they called that the divided names of God. So you look at Yod He Vav He under a microscope and you see these 72 3-letter names of God. The divided name of God, God's name under a microscope. Then they added the AL at the end of the word, of the 3-letter word, or an IH at the end of the word to create an angel. That's an executor of that particular facet of deity's power. And these executors of God's will are these 72 practical names of angels, angels of the Shemhamphorash, assigned to 5 degrees, specific 5-day sections of the year that rule those angels. And how they figured out what these angels do, what their talents are, they again went to their scriptures. And they found out that there are 72 places, mostly in Psalms, where Yod He Vav He is referred to. God is referred to specifically as Yod He Vav He. And they use each of those verses to determine, well, if I was an angel and this was my verse, what talents would I do? What would be my gig? And that's how they did it. Okay. But I digress. The angels of the Shemhamphorash for the 2 of Wands are Vehuel, that's Vehuel, sounded out phonetically, or that V could be sounded out as a UL. And the buzzwords for Vehuel is great and lofty. And the other one, the second 5 degrees of the first decan of Aries, is Daniel. And his buzzwords are, or her buzzwords are, merciful judge. Now, I'm not going to do this for every one of these cards, but to show you how they did that, each one of these 72 5-degree sections is assigned a psalm. And the 49th angel, that's that guy right there. See it? 49 VHV. Vahu, and then AL. Vehuiel. No, there we go. Vehuiel. And there you see Daniel right next to it. The meaning is great and lofty because they plucked out Psalm 145, 145:3. Great is tetragrammaton and greatly to be praised, and unto his greatness there is not an end. So they looked at that Psalm 41, line 3. Great is Yod He Vav He, and greatly to be praised, and unto his greatness there is not an end. So that particular section, VHV, of deity's name, his angel, VHVAL, is great. His job, it's a great thing. Okay, great and lofty. Okay, the next one, Daniel, is, we said, merciful judge. And that would be Psalm 145:8. Merciful and gracious is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, slow to anger and abounding in mercy. Okay, do you get the kind of crazy Kabbalistic logic behind that? I won't have to do that to all of these, believe me. Okay, there are two Goetic spirits that belong on this card also. There they are right there. Baal and Phoenix. And those are their seals. Now, when I got these cards back from US Game Systems, when I got the first printing of these cards back from US Game Systems for my approval, I had what I considered in my hand the mother deck of all subsequent printings of this deck. Constance was out of town visiting her parents in Nebraska. I had the house all to myself for 4 straight days. That meant I ate a lot of guacamole. But I thought, before I opened that deck, that I had a chance to magically charge these cards. That deck looked something. That was the deck. I had a chance to charge those cards magically in the best way that I knew how, and charge and instruct every spirit resident in that card, in each particular card, for a beneficent purpose of this deck and all of the other decks that would ever be printed. It was a sort of a idealistic, altruistic benediction on the cards. But it took me over 48 hours to do it. I opened up every Enochian elemental tablet, charged every card with the appropriate Enochian calls, evoked each Goetic spirit, 36 of them in the daytime and 36 at night. Each of them went into a triangle. Each of the 72 spirits of the Goetia were evoked and charged and given the instructions to behave themselves for the benefit of everyone using the deck. Every spirit of every angel of the Shemhamferish, I recited every one of those psalms over these cards. I did it all, at least as I had at the time skill to do. And I didn't get much sleep, and I moved a lot of furniture around in the living room. And when it was over, I went to El Matador Mexican restaurant and ordered damn near everything on the menu. Okay, The Goetic spirits are number 1, Baal, a king ruling the east. He maketh thee to go invisible. He ruleth over 66 legions of infernal spirits. He appeareth in diverse shapes, sometimes like a cat, sometimes like a toad, sometimes like a man, and sometimes all these forms at once. He speaketh hoarsely. The next spirit, the night spirit. Now these Goetic spirits rule the entire 10 degrees, or they're resident in the entire 10 degrees of the decan. One for the day, one for the night. That's why I had to split up my marathon evocations into what I did between dawn and sunset, and between sunset and whenever I was through and crashed. Night spirit of the Goetia is number 37, Phoenix, sometimes spelled Phoenix. He's a great marquis, and appeareth like the bird phoenix, having the voice of a child. He singeth many sweet notes before the exorcist, which he must not regard, but by and by he must bid him to put on human shape. Then he will speak marvelously of all wonderful sciences if required. He is a poet, good and excellent, and he will be willing to perform thy requests. He hath hopes also to return to the 7th throne after 1200 years more, as he said unto Solomon. He governeth 20 legions of spirits. Now the Enochian attributions are from, of course, the Grand Cross of the elemental tablets. Now notice I said tablets. Now even though this is a fire sign, that wands are fire signs, that particular square, at the moment unnumbered, appears in all 4 grand crosses of all 4 Enochian tablets. Fire, air, water. Fire, water, air, earth. So, in the Enochian tablet of air, he's the V in Batavia, the king, solar senior. So you'd open the temple in the 2 = 9 and read call 3. He's also the V in the air tablet, the V of Avtotar, the mercurial or the Mercury senior. Again, you'd open the temple in 2 = 9 and read call number 3. Now in the water tablet, this would be the eye of Sainu, the Jupiter senior. And to get to that, you would open the temple in 3 = 8 and read call number 4. In the earth tablet, he's the eye of Akimbleku, Mercury senior of the earth tablet. So you'd open up in 1 = 10 and read call number 5. And in the fire tablet, that's the native tablet. That's he's right up there at the top of the Jupiter. He's the T in Adoeoet, Adoeoet, and he's the T. So you'd open up the temple in 4 = 7 and read call number 6. Okay, now we spent a lot of time on just the 2 of Wands. Now, and the only reason we spent so much time on the 2 of Wands is that I wanted to explain the nuances of every one of those spirits inherent in that in this card. We won't have to do that for every one of these cards. So tomorrow when we pick it up, starting with the Three of Wands, this will go relatively fast and painless. And if you're unsure what's going on, please come back to this one and review what we're doing here. Anyway, we've used almost a half hour already, and I know you want to get on with your week. So, get on with your week. I have to get ready for tomorrow night's astral projection live Zoom event. And again, if you haven't registered, please do so today. And that's just about it. Constance is out shopping on her bicycle and will be back any minute. So I better make myself a cup of forbidden coffee. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. It's not being crazy. It's being good and selfish. It's good. It's a good selfish thing to do, to be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.